Captain Ethan Cole had seen too many wars. He thought Alara 9 would be his last assignment, a quiet evacuation mission far from the main front. But fate never cared for tired soldiers. The sky above the burned-out colony was red with plasma fire. Smoke rose like black towers, and the air smelled of melted metal and ash. Ethan's armor was cracked, his rifle nearly empty, yet he kept moving through the ruins. He was searching for survivors, any voice that still cried for help. Then he heard it, a faint sound. Soft and trembling, he followed it through the broken streets until he found a collapsed shelter. Under twisted beams and dust, a small alien girl was trapped. Her skin shimmered faintly, silver and blue like moonlight, and her eyes glowed with fear. "Hey, it's okay," Ethan said, dropping to his knees. He pushed the rubble aside with bleeding hands, ignoring the pain. When he lifted the last slab of metal, the girl gasped for air, her tiny fingers clutching his glove. "Don't move. Kid, I've got you," he whispered. He pulled her out and wrapped his tattered cloak around her. Her breathing was weak, her pulse slower than human. But she was alive. Ethan smiled faintly. But then a sharp metallic click froze his blood. Voices echoed from the alley behind him. Enemy raiders. The last survivors of a pirate crew that had burned half the colony. He turned slowly, placing the girl behind him. 3 figures stepped out of the smoke, their armor black with blood marks. Knives in their hands. "Well, what do we have here?" One hissed, a human soldier playing daddy to an alien brat. Another laughed. Ethan raised his rifle. Even though the ammo counter blinked red, "Walk away," he warned. "You don't want this fight." The raiders smirked, stepping closer. One swung his blade, but Ethan fired, the shot tearing through the man's chest. Then the rifle clicked empty. The next raider charged, knife flashing. Ethan blocked with his forearm, pain slicing through muscle. He countered with a punch that cracked armor, but the third one lunged from behind. A blade sank into his ribs, once, twice, hot agony spreading through his chest. He staggered, blood filling his mouth, but he didn't fall. He turned, grabbed the attacker's wrist, and forced the knife deeper into his own armor, trapping it. Then he drove his elbow into the man's face, shattering bone. Both raiders went down in silence. Ethan collapsed to his knees, the world blurred. The girl's frightened eyes the only thing he could see clearly. She crawled to him, her hands glowing faintly over his wounds. "Stop. It's okay," he whispered weakly. "You're safe now." But she shook her head, her voice small and melodic. "No safe. Not without you," she said. Her glow brightened, spreading through his chest where the knives had entered. Ethan felt warmth flood his body, light wrapping around him like fire and snow together. He tried to speak, but his throat failed. The girl's eyes turned pure white, tears of light falling onto his armor. Symbols like stars shimmered in the air around them, forming a circle. For a moment, the sound of the battle outside faded, replaced by a heartbeat, not his own. His vision dimmed. He saw flashes, cities of glass, twin moons over silver oceans, and a woman's voice whispering his name. Ethan Cole, Protector. Then darkness, silence. Only the faint hum of energy echoing in his chest remained. Hours later, scavengers passed through the battlefield. They found bodies, broken weapons, and shattered machines. But where Ethan had fallen, they found nothing. Only a faint circle of glowing ash and 2 sets of small footprints leading away. High above Alara 9, a Valyrian ship cloaked in light began to ascend. Inside, the alien girl slept in a healing pod, her hand resting on a human chest that still rose and fell slowly. The med lights pulsed with every breath he took. Though Ethan Cole had died on the battlefield, something or someone refused to let him go. And far below, the ruins of Alara 9 whispered his name like a promise. The Protector lives. Ethan Cole floated in darkness. He felt no pain, no weight, only the slow rhythm of something not quite his heartbeat. Light pulsed behind his eyes, silver, then blue, then silver again. When he finally opened them, he wasn't on the battlefield anymore. The ceiling above him shimmered like liquid glass. Soft hums echoed through the room, and faint blue symbols drifted across the walls. He tried to sit up, but a wave of weakness pushed him back. His chest was covered with strange crystal patches that glowed each time he breathed. "Easy," a voice said, calm but firm. Ethan turned his head. Two women stood beside his bed, their skin faintly luminous, their hair flowing like silk made of light. They looked similar, too similar, almost twins. "I am Siren," said the one in pale robes. "And I am Lyra," said the other, dressed in dark armor trimmed with gold. "You're safe now, human soldier," Siren continued. Ethan blinked, his voice rough. "Where am I?" Lyra glanced at the floating monitors beside him. "You're aboard a Valyrian medical chamber," she said. "You should be dead, Captain Cole." Siren added softly. Her words cut through the quiet like a blade. Ethan stared down at his bandaged torso. "I remember." "Knives," he muttered. "Yes," Lyra said, her expression unreadable. "You took 2 stabs protecting the seer's daughter." "The little girl," Ethan whispered, his pulse quickening. "Is she alive?" Siren smiled faintly. "She is, because of you," she said. "Her name is Kalai, and she is resting in the chamber next to this one." Ethan sighed with relief. "Good, that's good," he said, trying to steady his breathing. But then Siren's eyes dimmed. "There is more," she said. "When you fell, Kalai performed something ancient, something forbidden. She bound her soul to yours to save you. A ritual no child should know." Ethan frowned, confused. "What does that mean?" Lyra stepped closer, placing her hand over his chest. Where her palm touched, the crystal beneath his skin pulsed brighter. "It means your heart beats with her energy," she said. "You are no longer just human, Captain. Your essence and hers are linked." Ethan felt a jolt of fear and awe. He looked at his arm. Faint silver veins glowed under the skin. He clenched his fist, feeling strength that wasn't there before. Siren spoke softly. "The soul bond saved your life, but it also changed you. Your body is adapting to Valyrian resonance." He tried to stand, ignoring their protests. "I need to see her," he said. Lyra shook her head. "You can't." "Not yet. The bond is still unstable. If you get too close, it might react violently." Ethan stopped, the words sinking in. "So I'm alive because of her. But I can't even thank her," he said quietly. Siren placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "She knows your heart already. She feels your thoughts when you dream." He swallowed hard, looking around the glowing room. Everything felt unreal. The alien air hummed. The floor beneath him moved like gentle waves of light. Outside the window, he saw the stars, closer and brighter than he'd ever seen before. Alara 9 was gone, a burned marble fading behind the ship. "Your world is safe," Lyra said softly. "We retrieved all survivors we could. The rest became dust." Ethan looked away, jaw tight. "I wasn't supposed to make it either," he said. Siren's voice trembled. Maybe destiny disagreed. That night, when the lights dimmed and silence filled the chamber, Ethan dreamed. He saw Kalai standing in a field of silver grass under twin moons. She smiled and reached out, her tiny hand glowing. "Protector," she whispered. "Find me when the stars turn red." Ethan woke with a gasp, sweat cold on his skin. The heart monitor pulsed wildly, matching the rhythm of something deeper, a whisper in his mind. Lyra burst into the room, her weapon half drawn. "What happened?" Ethan's eyes glowed faintly silver in the dark. "I think." "She called to me," he said, his voice steady but low. Siren entered behind her, frowning as the lights around his bed brightened on their own. "The bond is growing," she murmured, "stronger than before." Lyra crossed her arms, her gaze sharp. "If it keeps strengthening, The High Council will sense it, and they will come, not to thank him, but to control him. Ethan clenched his fist again, feeling the power hum beneath his skin. Then they'll have to go through me, he said. The twins exchanged glances, one of concern, one of admiration. Siren whispered, maybe the prophecy was true, a protector from the dying worlds. Reborn in light, Lyra nodded slowly. Let's hope he's ready for what comes next. As the ship drifted through the stars, the chamber lights dimmed once more. Ethan closed his eyes, hearing Kayleigh's voice echo through the darkness. Find me, protector. The stars are turning red. And far beyond, in the heart of space, a crimson flare loomed near a forgotten world. Something ancient had awakened, and it was searching for the human who refused to die. Days turned into weeks aboard the Valyrian vessel drifting through the edge of the Orion Rim. Captain Ethan Cole had regained most of his strength, but something inside him had changed. Every night he dreamed of Kalai, her voice soft, her presence near, and every morning he woke with his pulse glowing silver under his skin. Siren watched over his recovery with calm patience. Always gentle, always hopeful, Lyra trained him, testing his reflexes and strength inside the ship's simulation halls. He had fought in human wars before, but this training was different. His body moved faster, his vision clearer, his muscles reacting before his mind could command them. Your cells are responding to the bond, Lyra said during one session. You're more than human now. Ethan caught his breath, wiping sweat from his brow. Then what am I becoming? Siren, standing nearby, answered quietly, a protector. As our legends foretold? Later that day, the ship docked above Valyria Prime. Through the wide observation glass, Ethan saw a world unlike any he had imagined. Floating cities shimmered like stars over oceans of blue fire. Crystal towers reached the clouds, and bridges of light connected them like living veins. This is her home? He asked. Yes, Siren said softly. And yours now, by fate, when the shuttle landed. The people stared at him. A human wearing Valyrian armor trimmed in silver. Whispers followed wherever he walked. A few bowed. Others looked away in fear. To them, he was both miracle and omen inside the grand sanctuary. He met the High Seer, Kayleigh's mother. Tall and regal, her eyes filled with sorrow and pride. You are the one who saved my child, she said. Ethan bowed slightly. I did what anyone would have done. She shook her head slowly. No, human. Only one chosen by the light would bear her bond and love. The seer's voice echoed in the hall. Kalai is missing, she continued. When the raiders fled, they took her beyond the outer rings. We can no longer sense her spirit. Ethan felt the bond in his chest pulse hard. She's alive, he said firmly. I can feel her, Lyra nodded. He's right. The resonance between them is still active. The seer studied him for a long moment before replying. Then the three of you must act as one, for the bond now ties not just her and you, but also the ones who keep you alive. Siren stepped forward. The bond of three, she whispered. It is real, Lyra frowned. You mean? Yes, Siren said, to keep his unstable soul tethered. Our life energy is linked to his. If he dies again, we die too. Ethan looked between them. Stunned. I didn't ask for this, he said. Siren smiled softly. Nor did we, yet fate does not ask. Lyra crossed her arms, her voice steady. Then we make it count from that day. They trained together, human and twin Valyrians, body and soul in rhythm. Siren taught him to focus the energy that pulsed through his veins. Lyra taught him how to fight with blades of light, weapons that sang when swung. When he fought, their energy flowed through him. Faster, sharper, alive, at night. Under the crystal sky, they rested on the temple terrace. Ethan stared at the stars, wondering where Kalai was. Siren sat beside him, her voice gentle. She sees through your eyes sometimes. He turned to her, surprised. How do you know? When you dream, she dreams, Siren said. Her light flickers in your aura. Lyra stood behind them, her tone quieter than usual. Then we'll follow that flicker. Wherever it leads. The next day, news came from the outer sectors. Pirate scouts seen near the rift of Sindar. The same faction that had attacked Alara 9. Ethan's blood ran cold. That's where she is, he said. The seer hesitated. The rift is forbidden. It consumes energy and bends space itself. Ethan's jaw tightened. I'm going, Lyra smiled faintly. Of course you are. Siren nodded, eyes soft with worry. Then we go together, as their ship prepared for departure. The three stood on the platform, bathed in blue light. The bond between them hummed like music, one heartbeat shared among three souls. Siren's hand touched his arm. If we reach her, the bond might complete, she said. And if we fail? Ethan asked. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Then we die together, Protector. The engines roared, and the stars stretched into lines. Ethan looked through the viewport. His reflection split between human and alien glow. He whispered quietly to himself, Hang on, Kali. I'm coming. But deep inside? The bond pulsed again, stronger, more insistent. It was no longer just a connection. It was becoming something alive. Siren felt it too and looked at Lyra. This is beyond prophecy, she said softly. Lyra nodded, her gaze fixed on Ethan. Then we'll write a new one. Outside, the ship vanished into the dark fold of the rift. Light twisted, stars bent, and silence swallowed their trail. Only the faint echo of a little girl's voice lingered in the void. Find me, Protector. And the bond of three burned brighter than ever before, refusing to fade, refusing to die. The rift of Sindar was not a place meant for the living. It was a wound in space, a swirling scar of red storms and shattered moons. Ships that entered were torn apart or lost forever. But Ethan Cole's ship pushed forward, guided by the pulse in his chest. The call of the girl he had sworn to protect. Energy fields are unstable, Lyra warned. Gripping the control sphere, lightning cracked across the void, tearing streaks of crimson light through the black. Siren stood beside her, eyes closed, whispering words in the old tongue. The hull groaned as gravity twisted, but the ship held steady under their combined will. Ethan stood at the viewport, watching the chaos. His jaw set. Keep her steady, she's close, he said. His voice calm, but hard as steel. The beacon inside his heart burned brighter with every passing second. Finally, the storm opened, revealing a hidden world at the rift's center, a floating fortress wrapped in dark energy. That's them, Lyra hissed. The raiders. Dozens of black ships hung in orbit, feeding power into the fortress below. Ethan looked between the twins. We go down there, he said simply. Siren nodded. Then the bond of three must become one. They descended through fire and thunder. Landing on the fortress platform with a crash, alarms blared. Alien guards poured in, their armor jagged and crimson. Ethan stepped forward, energy sparking along his hands. He didn't need a weapon anymore. His bond was his weapon. He raised his palm, and silver light burst outward. Knocking enemies back, Lyra drew her twin blades. Slicing through the first wave like wind through sand, Siren lifted her staff, creating a barrier of light that shimmered like glass. For a moment, the battlefield glowed like a sunrise. But more raiders came, shouting in rage. Ethan gritted his teeth. For Kali, he roared, and the words echoed like thunder through the fortress halls. He charged forward, every strike powered by the bond's strength. Where his fists landed, the ground itself cracked. Lyra fought beside him, her movements a blur. Siren's energy shields bent under fire, yet she stood firm. Chanting the words that bound them together, the battle raged for hours. until the final doors burst open, and the Raider warlord stepped through. He was massive, his body augmented with dark crystal implants, his eyes burning red. "So the human lives," he growled. "The one who carries the seer's child's power." Ethan's pulse throbbed in his ears. "Where is she?" he demanded. The warlord laughed. "She is the core now, human. Her energy powers this fortress. She keeps us alive." Ethan's heart almost stopped, the glow in his chest flickering violently. "You're lying," he said. The warlord spread his claws. "See for yourself." He struck first, blades of dark energy clashing against Ethan's silver light. The room shook with every blow, metal melting under the pressure. Siren and Lyra joined the fight, channeling their strength into him through the bond. 3 lights burned as one: human silver, Valyrian blue, and golden flame. Ethan pushed forward, his rage pure and steady. "For every world you burned," he said, "for every child you took." He slammed his hand into the warlord's chest, and the explosion of light tore through the fortress. Walls cracked, floors shattered, alarms wailed as the structure began to collapse. Siren grabbed his arm, shouting, "Ethan, stop. You'll destroy yourself." He looked at her, eyes glowing brighter than ever. "If it saves her, it's worth it." And the floor gave way, and they fell into the heart of the fortress. At the center lay a chamber of crystal. Inside, suspended in a cocoon of light, was Kalai, her small body motionless, her energy drained by dark machines. Siren and Lyra ran forward. Breaking the seals, Ethan stumbled beside them, his vision blurring. "Kalai," he whispered. The girl's eyes opened weakly, glowing white. "Protector," she murmured. "You came." He smiled faintly. "Always," he said. Then the fortress shook again, cracks spreading across the chamber walls. Lyra shouted, "The core is collapsing." Siren reached out to Ethan. "There's only one way, the ritual of union. We can merge our energies to stabilize it." Ethan stared at her. "That'll kill you both." Lyra grinned, even through the fear. "Then let's make it worth something." Without another word, the twins placed their hands on his chest. Light burst outward, blinding and pure. Their voices echoed as one. 3 become one, life for life. Heart for heart. Ethan screamed as power surged through him, their souls fusing into his, their energy becoming his own. The chamber exploded with brilliance, vaporizing the machines, sealing the cracks. When the light faded, Kalai floated gently down into his arms, alive and breathing. But Siren and Lyra were gone. Only 2 faint streams of light hovered beside him, whispering softly. Outside, the fortress disintegrated, consumed by the same light that now burned in Ethan's chest. He looked up through the falling debris, holding Kalai close. "Rest now," he whispered. "I'll keep you safe." The twins' voices echoed faintly in his mind. "We are with you. Always." Then everything went white. The storm swallowed the fortress, and the rift of Sindar closed around them. But somewhere in that endless light, a new legend was born. The legend of the human who would not die. Silence. That was the first thing Captain Ethan Cole heard after the storm ended. No gunfire, no thunder, only the soft breath of wind drifting through silver mist. He opened his eyes. He was standing in a field of light, the air warm and calm. Kalai lay in his arms, her small chest rising and falling gently, alive, safe. He looked around. There were no ruins, no blood, no sky, only endless white horizons stretching forever. "Where am I?" he whispered. A voice answered, soft and familiar. "Between worlds," he turned. Siren and Lyra stood there, but not as flesh and blood. Their forms were radiant, made of pure energy. They smiled, their eyes kind. "You lived," Siren said. Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, You did this. You saved her. You saved me. Lyra stepped closer, her voice strong as ever. We gave you our light, Ethan. But you were the one who held it together. He looked down at his hands, glowing faintly with the same blue and gold hue as theirs. So I'm... What now? Dead? Siren smiled gently. Not yet, Protector. Your heart still beats in the mortal world. Ethan looked at Kylai. Still asleep. She deserves to grow up, far from war, he said quietly. She will, Siren promised. Her people will rebuild. And she will lead them one day. Lyra crossed her arms, smirking softly. If she takes after you, she'll be impossible to control. He laughed weakly. Then I should go before she wakes and blames me for everything. But the laughter faded as he realized what they meant. They were staying behind. No, he said firmly. You're coming with me. Siren shook her head. Our bodies are gone, Ethan. We exist only through you now, Lyra added. We're part of you. Your strength, your light. Your stubborn heart. He lowered his head, his voice rough. I didn't want to lose you. Siren placed her hand over his heart, her touch glowing warm. You didn't lose us. You carry us. Her form began to fade, merging into the light around him. Lyra's smirk softened into a smile. Now go, hero. Before the world forgets your name. The wind picked up, the mist parting into gold. Kylai stirred in his arms, whispering, Protector. I'm here, he said. Then everything shifted. Light folding inward like a dream collapsing. Ethan gasped awake. He was lying on a grassy hill under a blue sky. The war was gone, the rift sealed, the fortress reduced to dust. In the distance, the towers of the Lyra Prime shimmered in peace once again. Kylai sat beside him, alive and smiling. You came back, she said, her small hand reaching for his. He smiled faintly. Couldn't break my promise. The Valyrian ships descended from the sky. The High Seer among them. She ran to Kylai, tears glimmering in her eyes. My child? She breathed, holding her tight. Then she turned to Ethan. You fulfilled the prophecy, Protector. You carried the light and restored the bond. Ethan stood, still feeling the hum of the twins' energy within him. I didn't do it alone, he said quietly. Looking up toward the clouds, the seer nodded. They are with you, always. As stars are with the night. For days the city celebrated. The fortress's destruction freed hundreds of captured worlds. Ethan became a symbol, the human who defied death, the warrior who fought for light itself. But he stayed humble, living quietly on the edge of Valyra's ocean cliffs. Sometimes, at dusk, he would hear their voices, Siren's calm whisper in the wind, Lyra's teasing tone in the crash of waves. And sometimes, when the stars turned red in the far sky, Kylai would sit beside him, her eyes glowing faintly. She says thank you, Kylai would whisper, smiling. Ethan would smile back. Tell her I'm just keeping my promise. Years passed, and peace returned across the sectors. Humans and Valyrians began to rebuild together, learning from one another. The story of the man who died for an alien child and was reborn through love and sacrifice spread across worlds. To some it was myth, to others truth, but to Kylai it was home one night under twin moons. Ethan stood by the sea, feeling the energy within him glow stronger than ever. He whispered into the night, Siren, Lyra, I hope I made you proud, the wind replied softly, carrying faint laughter across the waves. Always, Protector. The camera of the universe pulled back, the cliffs of Valyra bathed in silver light. A human and a young alien watching the stars together, their reflections shimmering in the ocean below. And in the sky above, 2 new stars glowed brighter than the rest. Side by side, guardians of the man who refused to die,